heady, and sometimes people are like, I just need to process that for a minute, and it could be just one line that you need to sit and process. So we'll try to take about breaks every hour, 15 minutes. We're going to go it's from 6 to 8:30. Is that okay with you? Wonderful. Yeah, we're here for 5 hours tonight. We'll get done around midnight. It's all good. We're testing your strength and your stamina of healing. We like to get you good and vulnerable so that we can, once we get you vulnerable, then you're healing. No, not at all. All right, I'm going to start with just welcoming everyone to My Energy, My Health, My Happiness, and letting you guys know that that the Heal Center is doing some really exciting things right now. So we wanted to take a minute and just share those with you. The Heal Center is currently transitioning into an integrated health system, and we have our new marketing director right over here. Say hello to Hope. And so we are currently looking for very large crowdfunding. We're looking for sponsors. We're looking for donations. We are writing grants. We are working very hard to get the word out there that the integrated health system that we're building will actually have Eastern and Western modalities. So we're going to have doctors and nurses and chiropractor and physical therapists and clinical psychologists. However, they're teamed equally with holistic healing practitioners, acupuncturists, energy healers, myofascial release specialists, massage therapists, naturopaths, Chinese medicine, and the like. And so what will happen is that people will come to our center and they will actually receive an evaluation on them. However, we will not just do physical. Anyone who comes to our center gets a full evaluation, which means that they're going to be evaluated with them also doing their own personal evaluation. So we're not sitting there saying, you are this. It's this conversation that we have about where you're at mentally, where you're at emotionally, where you're at spiritually, where you're at on your journey, where you're at in your career, where you're at with family, where you're at then physically and nutritionally. And so once we have that assessment, a team of professionals, both Eastern and Western modalities alike, will actually assess the person and say, you know what, you would be great here, you would be great here, you would be great here, and you would be great here. And we will give an analysis of what a really good plan of attack for you would be. And you can take a little bit of it, you can take one thing, or you can take the whole thing. It's all up to you. So it's really a true team approach. And some of the very unique things that we're trying to do with it are to make sure that our training program for whoever's involved with us includes anyone who works for us, whether it's the front desk staff, whether it is the doctor, whether it is an acupuncturist, it wouldn't matter. Everyone goes through their own personal self-healing. And they go through their own analysis of where they are at. What are your personal triggers? Basically, this class they will be taking. The other things that will be happening is that we have 13 different courses that they will be taking so that everyone not only experiences each other's modalities, but goes through and understands them. So all of the practitioners, whether it's Eastern or Western, will understand the meridians, will understand naturopath medicine, will understand tinctures and remedies, not to prescribe them or do them, but to be able to understand them. The other thing is for the center, there are no pharmaceuticals and no surgery. Not saying that those aren't necessary at times, but we're not going to do it. We're actually going to have sister affiliates we will send people to. We just need to keep it out of our center because it goes against our philosophy, which is to be preventative in your healthcare, actually in your well-being, in your beauty. So we have that coming up, which is very exciting, and we hope that you guys all, when we start to get that out there, share the word. As I said, I'm Kelly Schwegel, and my background for all of this is this. Most of you I know and are personal clients or friends of mine, and but for those of you who are joining us who don't know who I am, I'm the co-director of the Heal Center along with Charlie Weedle, who is online with you. And we started the Heal Center a couple of years ago in a one-room space and are now in a multi-room space and adventuring out into this new world of integrative healing. And our passions are strong. Our passions are about changing humanity. It's about making it a better place. So this workshop that we put together is all about wanting to help people to find their own internal beauty. It's wanting to help people to look at their own personal triggers and analyze why they're there and what you can do about them. It's helping people to find their own way of healing. Instead of knowing that you have to go somewhere for treatment, there are a lot of things you can do on your own. So this is about helping people to find that and then to apply some of the tools and techniques. Sound good? Okay. So let me just tell you a little bit about what's going to be coming up in the 4 weeks. So what we have is that February 5th, obviously, is today. This is all about what is this life and what are we made of. So it really is examining what is Earth, why are we here, what are we doing here, what was our purpose, and then looking at what is it that we are made of. How did we even, if we're just this conscious spirit, how did we become physical? What is the physicality of us? A lot of what I do in my work is to bring in a lot of quantum physics, or try to bring in a lot of understanding biologically that happens in our body that is going to start to marry some of the Eastern and Western philosophies again. Us having chakras are not mystical. Let's look at the physical part of it. Us having a soul is not something religious. It's actually a piece of us. It's our conscious thought. What is it that we break down into? We don't break down into skin and tissue. It's much deeper than that. So we're going to look at a lot of that. We're also going to begin our chakra analysis. I know a lot of you know about chakras. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, here's what a chakra is. I'm going to tell you the physicalness of a chakra. And we are going to go through a chakra, but only for the purpose of your own personal self-analysis. So if you don't know what a chakra is, that's fine. You're going to get a brief understanding of it, but you're also going to be able to get inside and say, how is my chakra functioning? And that's one of the bigger things to look at. February 12th, we're going to have a continuation of the chakra analysis, and part of the this all changed. That's really interesting. This whole slide changed. So what's going to be happening? It looks fine online. It doesn't over here. All right. So what's going to happen after the continuation of the chakra analysis is we're going to start to really get into find out what some of your personal triggers are. So you're going to start to do an analysis of you. What are my personal triggers? Why do I have them? Where do they come from? The other thing is learning to find compassion for you, learning to find compassion for others. We're then going to move after that into understanding what is the process that you take to let go. If you find out you have an emotional trigger, if you find out you have a reactionary behavior, if you find out you have a personal need, what do? Needs and reactionary behaviors don't serve us at all. They actually harm who we are. And so how do you let go of them? So we go through some explanation or some of the tools and techniques and how do you let go. After that, it is about looking at how energy of relationship, what is that? Energies between two people hold an actual specific energy. How do you work with that, especially if that relationship is in any type of turmoil? And the last thing we're going to look at is your relationship with money. Money is a big one with people, so we're going to look at that, your relationship with abundance. So we're going to look at that during the last week. So the weeks that we have done are February 5th, February 12th, February 19th, and February 26th. Right, if you go ahead and take your workbook, what I want you to do, for those of you who downloaded, and if you're online and you haven't downloaded it right now, this is your time to go get some tea or to go and have a personal reflection about what you feel. I will read some of the questions to you, and if you already have it, just go ahead and mute your mic or mute my mic so that you don't hear it online. But those of you who are in the room, open up to page 2 in your workbook. Page 2 in your workbook is absolutely for you. You're not sharing the information. I'm not going to hear about the information. We're not going to reflect on it as a group. It is personally for you. So those of you online, I'll give you a little understanding of what's in there. So for the first question is to really reflect on, do you feel you can let go of old emotions that are no longer serving you? And we're going to do this online as a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no, and 10 being yes. And so the second question is just write down your answer. I feel in control of my health issues. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you sit? And if it's not a 10, why is it that you're not a 10? Why do you feel that you're not in control of your health issues? The third question for those online is, I am worthy. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you sit? And if it's not a 10, why do you feel you're not worthy? And that could be worthy of anything, worthy of receiving love, worthy of receiving abundance, worthy of receiving money, success, beauty, relationships. People online, on a scale of 1 to 10, answer this. People like me, yes or no? And if it's not a 10, why is that? Or why do you believe it is? The next question. I love myself, including all of the experiences that I've had in this life, whether they're good or they're bad. Scale of 1 to 10, how much do you really like yourself? And that's not asking, do I have a good personality? That's really asking, do I truly love me? Can I look at every age of me and say, yep, you who did that at 17, I really love you. I get you, I understand you, and I want you as part of my being. And if it's not a 10, again, reflect on why. And the last question, my chatter is positive about myself. On a scale of 1 to 10, how positive is your chatter about you? If it's not a 10, again, reflect on why. All right, it looks like most people have had a chance to finish, and if not, just make sure you have those questions. Charlie can even start typing some out if you need them, and you can reflect on those after the workshop. Let's start talking about this whole idea of letting go of personal things and letting go of old baggage, letting go of old triggers so that you can be in your most happy and most beautiful self. One of the things to think about is that as a society, we always actively work to promote things in our life. So we're always looking to make ourselves happier and healthier. So what we do is we have good physical health and well-being, or at least we try. We try to exercise, we try to eat well, we get good medical treatment. We think about our mental ability and we say, okay, I'm going to improve myself, so I'm going to get that training, or I'm going to get this degree, or I'm going to do whatever it might be. We're always trying to learn something. You're going to read that book, right? Do something better for ourselves. We really work on our personal talents and our skills, whether that's your artwork or whether that's just being a great gardener or doing yoga well. We love our leisure enjoyments. We try to make ourselves happy that way, right? However, as a society, we do not typically look at certain things. There are certain unspoken factors in our life that we're not addressing. We don't address them in school. We don't address them in society. There's nowhere that we address these other than within our family or within our personal self. So first one is all of our individual emotional triggers. And I'm going to tell you just from experience of working with hundreds and hundreds of clients, everybody has these. There is not a person who I have met who doesn't have an emotional trigger. We've all got them. And I don't care how many times we've said that I'm clear. I have cleared myself. I've done all this emotional work and I'm totally clear. Oh, baloney. We're human beings. We're going to continue to have emotional triggers. They're going to continue to build. We're going to continue to work through those our entire lives. If anyone says, I am the model of what you want to look like, you might want to look the other way because there's some dishonesty happening there. We all have them. So we've got ego and jealousy and guilt and shame and fear. And can we make these better? Yes. Can we get completely better with these? You know what? No, we're not going to shed all of these. Sometimes they're going to pop up in different situations. So it's about understanding that and stopping the facade that says that we don't. The other thing is we've got negative mental conflict. We've got mind chatter. And when it comes to how do you address upheaval with others, there is no school you go to for that. There's no class on what do you do when my best friend's a big jerk? What do you do when someone in your family member is triggering you? What do you do when your boss is unfair? How do you deal with mental conflict? All the chatter that happens, all of the emotional conflict. What we tend to do is that we tend to beat ourselves up. We tend to get in a bad space and say, oh, look at what I brought and look what I did. Look at this. Or we blame. They are horrible. I want to judge them. It's all their fault. If they weren't like that, I wouldn't have this issue. And I'll tell you right now, honestly, it's always a two-way street. Always. Even if you think everything that you can line up as far as proof that this person was a bad person, it's still part you. So nobody teaches us about how to deal with that. We also have negative internal drivers. We've got insecurity, superiority, self-doubt. We've got things going on inside of us that are triggers that we built up when we were young. We built them up, and actually, I'm going to show you throughout this workshop, we built those up for a purpose. If we gave ourselves insecurity, self-doubt, bad body image, inability to communicate well, Whatever it is that we built up within ourselves, we gave ourselves that for a reason. It's about finding out what the reason is, accepting the reason, and moving through it. So basically, to deal with any of these things have to get pretty bad. Before we sit down and address things have to get pretty bad. And then what do? We go on depression medication or anti-anxiety medication, or we go and we see a psychologist, or go see a counselor, or we basically get in big, huge fights with people. That's dealing with it, right? Or not. So one of the things that we know, and why actually Charlie and I are doing the Bigger Heal Center, is that we have a space to deal with this on a regular basis. That if you've got mental conflict, go and get some wisdom. Go talk this through. Go allow yourself to work through it inside of you instead of projecting it outward. But here's the reality. Human beings are emotional. We have triggers and baggage and scars and needs, no matter what, everyone. We are flawed. We've got self-doubt, fears, and an ego. We are physical beings. We have to deal with our health, our energy, and our wellness, but here's what else happens. We're full of mental chatter. We are, am I good enough? Will I do a good job at this? What if I can't do this? What if he's better than me? Okay? All of these things are within us. So the whole facade in life, and it really is a facade. And here's what it's an interesting thing. People ask me a lot of times about my clairvoyance, and they're like, okay, so can anyone actually even date you? I mean, what do you do? Because you're always reading them. And I said, well, yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter, because there's no need to be intimidated if somebody can read your emotions or read what's going on within you, because the reality is I don't see anything different than anyone. It's just whatever is specific to you. Your needs are specific to you, and yours to you, and yours to you, and yours to you, and mine to me. So there isn't anybody who's without them. So if we let go of the actual facade that we're not all dealing with this, what a happier, realistic world we'd be in. Here's removing the facade. There's something wrong with you if you're not confident and happy. Oh, really? I used to put on quite a show that I was happy and I was confident, and I had tons of internal baggage, tons of it. But if people look at me, they're like, well, if I could be more like you, Miss Happy. Okay, well, you haven't gone inside here, so you can't even call me that. The other thing is what's hidden underneath our external behavior should remain hidden. All right, emotions should remain in check, right? Some people are more important than others. That's a beautiful facade. Absolutely no one is more important than others. And I'm going to talk a lot about that through this. If the homeless man on the street is no more or less important than Charlie. Emotions are a sign of weakness. We should just instinctively know or learn only in childhood how to deal with conflict in our lives. Otherwise, we are less than. Otherwise, look at your dysfunctional family. Look at what you have done. Now look at who you are. And so what do we do as personal beings, and what do we do to each other? We try to place blame, or we try to criticize ourselves or criticize others, judge ourselves or judge others. The reality is we came here to get this stuff. We came here to get in the muck of life. We came here to build something so that we can move through it and grow our soul. So basically what you think you have done wrong in life, this is another facade, is not common. So here's a nice example of that. I was working with a woman who she was like in total despair. She was actually on antidepressant medication. She had attempted suicide. She thought that she had done the worst things in life, and she was beating herself up for them. And so she said that she had actually gone to a woman who was writing a book on the deepest, darkest secrets of the human soul. And she was going to be in the book because she knew she had it topped. And so she went to get interviewed, and this woman is sitting down and she's like, And so she gets done, and she's like, and the woman's like, okay, well, thanks. She's like, aren't I going to be in the book? And she's like, no, you just named number 1 and 2 of the things that people do. So the things that we think that we do wrong are really a lot of everyone. Here's some reality of all of these clients that I've seen over the years. About any given time, 40 to 50% have been abused. Of all of those women who I see, about 30 to 40% have had abortions. Of all of the men and women that I see, of those who will actually admit it, about 80 to 90% have had extracurricular affairs. Of those who I talk with about this situation, about those things in their life that usually comes up, there's some type of sexual inappropriateness, and I'd say inappropriateness that has happened. We think we're such big bad creatures, but you know what we are? We're human beings. And the sooner that we get to understand that we're human beings who come into this life and we are supposed to be doing things wrong, we didn't come here to be perfect. We came here to learn about the human condition and learn about the emotions that go along with that. And that means that we attempt things, we fail. We attempt things, we fail. We fail, and we achieve. And I want to just invite everyone, whether you're online or whether you're here in person, ask questions along the way. I mean, and please challenge me and interject. I don't mind that at all, right? So one of the things that we need to do, and what this is all about, is releasing the facade. We've got to really look at what we're doing here. We've got to look and understand, what the earth is going through, what we are going through, what our bodies are made of, and what we're like, so we understand what we need to get beyond the facade. So to start this, we first have to ask ourselves the questions: what is this life all about? What are we doing here? And some of this is going to be no new information for me, right? A lot of us know, we understand what we're doing here, but there might be a few things that you're going to take away that will actually sit within you. And I will tell you, there's so much information that comes out in these workshops that that you may not think about it today, but all of a sudden a couple of days later, you're like, oh man, that really hit me. There's a lot to think about and a lot to understand about this life and what we're doing. So first of all, this life is a classroom for your soul. When people ask, what are we doing here? What is this life? Charlie is asking a question. Thank you. That's a good question. So Charlie asked, you said we came here, and does everyone know what that means? And so I'll give an explanation of that. And I will tell you that so much of the information, actually about 90% of this information in this workshop, has just been channeled through my guides, through other people's guides. I learn a lot from them. And so you can let it resonate with you or not. Most of everything in here I've been able to find information to verify, but there are obviously things I can't. So when I explain something, all you can do is say this resonates with me or it doesn't. And I don't mind either way. You can say, and to say it resonates with me, just listen inside to your gut and say, does that really sit well with me? Does that resonate? And like I said, it doesn't matter one way or other. I'm not here to convince you. The perspective that my guides have given me about coming here is that we are souls who are having a human experience. Absolute beautiful souls. And we're souls first and foremost. And we came to this experience so that we can experience emotion, we can experience ego, we can experience hardship, and we can actually grow our soul. And we're going to go into that a little bit later. But when I say come here, we came to this earth. Souls incarnate. And this will become very, very clear in just a few moments when we look inside and look at what we're made of. So part of that answer I'm going to let you hold tight, otherwise I'm going to give away the next few slides. So basically, our souls come here to this earth, and we come into our bodies, and we incarnate into this beautiful being because it's a classroom. We basically are saying as a soul, saying, oh, time to go to school. Yay, going to school today, pack a lunch, go down to earth, see you in 80 years. Here we go. And what happens is that we are here to learn lessons. We're here to learn lessons about our soul. We're here to learn lessons about the human experience. And what happens is that this isn't any new concept to many people, so we're here to learn. But we need to get a little more specific with it so you understand how to personalize that inside of you. So some of the lessons that come to us are in the form of our hard experiences. Okay, and I can't even say some. Our lessons come to us in the form of hard experiences. Think about this. If you came here as a soul, and you came here to be in peace, and everything was going peachy, would you grow at all? Seriously, think about it. Would you grow at all? I mean, is there anything that you would learn? When everything is going well, why change? Why grow? Everything's going great, right? Here's the other thing I say. You did not come here to be in peace. If you came here to be in peace, you would have stayed where the hell you were. Okay, and I didn't mean you're in hell. But, you would have stayed where you were. Okay? You didn't come here to be in peace. You came here to get into it. And so our lessons are all of these hardships that we actually set up for ourselves, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Hardship. When it comes to these hard experiences, you can actually look at your hard experiences as your textbook. I actually have this little theory that your teachers are your guides. And when I say guides, what I mean are guides can come in many different forms. Guides can be guardian angels, if you want to call them that. They can be those who have passed on and are still with you. I've seen guides be collectives of individuals. I've seen guides be animals. I've seen guides just as energy. But guides are those who are with you. There's energy that is with you. You're not alone on this earth at all. You basically come down with a teacher, and your teacher is here working with you. So once again, let that resonate or not resonate. It does not bother me either way. But you've got lessons. They're your hardships, and they're your textbooks. When I think about these lessons are actually karma. And when I think about karma, the old version of karma is the fear-based version of karma, that you have done something wrong, and now you're going to have to pay for it. Oh, they're going to get karma coming their way, and look at what they did. Actually, no, that's not true. Okay? That there's either good karma or bad karma that's going to come your way based on what you've done. There isn't a punishing God out there. I can tell you that. The love-based karma, or the new understanding of karma, is that karma is a gift. It's going to bring you some lessons for your soul. It's all the lessons that you knew you needed to learn when you came here into this body. It's all of the lessons that when you bring them in are going to bring you personal growth. And here's the karma part of it. Your karma is, if you didn't learn it, you're going to get it again. If you don't learn your lesson, they may try a different way, and it might get harder. Okay, that's very common, and I see these patterns all the time with my clients. If you want to know something about what you came here to learn in life, look at your patterns. All you have to do is look at the reoccurring things that happen in your life, and it is interesting. A lot of the clients that I see, they don't see it right away. They tell me their story, and I watch, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is again. Oh, there it is. Oh, you brought the same person in. Oh, my God, look. That person was your father, and they did that to you. And then you brought in a boyfriend, and there that pattern is again. Oh, my God, now it's your husband. Now it's your daughter. Wow. Oh, look, your boss does the same thing to you. Karma, karma, karma. Pattern, pattern, pattern. If you want to know a lot of what you're here to learn, look inside, look at your patterns, look at your history. It's your karma. Your karma doesn't go away. The interesting thing about your karma or your lessons is that there's no social promotion. It's not like you can skip a grade. You can't just check out of your lessons. There's no cliff notes, and there's no passing out. Like you can take a test and pass. Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to actually go through and experience things. So a lot of people I've worked with many people who were had suicides in their family. I've spoken to many suicide individuals, and what they have told me is every single time the same thing. You don't get to check out. I have to go back, and I have to do this all over again. Everything. I'm waiting for the scenarios to be right, and I'm going to go back in a body, and I got to go back and do it all over again. You don't get to check out of your lessons. It's just the way of the soul. So here's a really interesting thing about the soul. The soul, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later too, but there's this thing called macrocosm versus microcosm. And what that means is that the macrocosm, the universe or the multiverse or the galaxy or whatever it is, has the same mathematical principles and you create that the same way you create a body, the same way you create a soul, the same way you create a planet or you create a tree. The same mathematical principles will create all. Okay? So when we think about how we grow our body goes from baby to infant to young to mature to old. Right? But guess what? So does your soul. Your soul ages the same way because the mathematical principles that create your soul or your consciousness are the same things that create a body. So your soul actually moves from baby to infant to young to mature to old. How do you grow the soul? Any takers on that one? Put water on it? No? It's all of that karma. You grow your soul through the karma that you learn. And how do we get that experience? We incarnate into a place or into an existence that is going to allow us to have hardship. And this will become clear again in a moment. There are lots of things that we have to actually give ourselves as a body to make sure that we get into hardship. So in particular lives that we have, we're going to have different lessons. And our different lessons are going to bring us growth. So an older soul has been through many, many lives. And a baby soul, maybe not so much. But here's the really interesting thing about this. To become an older soul, there's the yin and yang. Okay, the good and the bad of everything, opposites, right? So to become an older soul, you have to experience all good and all bad, which means this, and this is a hard reality for people to take. You would have murdered and been murdered in one life, or in lives. You would have raped. You would have done it, and you would have been raped. You would have been a pedophile. You would have been the victim. You would have been gay, and you would have been straight. You would have been male, and you would have been female. You would have been rich, and you would have been poor, and you would have been everything in between. Soul lessons that we have to learn here, and I'll give you a couple of examples of why it's so important that we go through the actual experiences. But the soul experiences that we have here, you cannot learn through a textbook, and you cannot learn through somebody telling you. You can't say, oh my God, I didn't do my homework. Can somebody just tell me about it first? Yeah, you know, there isn't any of that. So there is an experience that I personally had, and I end up getting premonitions or visions here and there. And so I was doing something really mundane one day, and I don't know if it was driving a car or walking somewhere, and all of a sudden I just stopped because I had this entire remembrance of me murdering. And what I felt are all the emotions that I felt going up to it. I knew what I was about to do. I knew I was male, and I knew that I was about to do it, and then they cut off the vision. And I just sat there stunned. I honestly didn't know what to even think, because I knew that I had done that, and I knew that unless I had actually done it, there's no way I would have felt that feeling. It was so specific. And I can guarantee you guys I have not murdered in this life, okay? No going to jail here. But in that life I did. And I asked my guides, I said, why? Why did you have me even listen to that or understand it? What is this? And they said, we needed you to understand this. Nobody could have taught you about that feeling. Yes, the experiences are always over multiple lifetimes. And so you wouldn't come into one life and do all that in one life. I mean, you might have multiple things you do. You might have raped and murdered and, pillaged. I don't know. But I know that usually it's spread over multiple. And the lessons that come back after a lifetime are based on what you learned in that one. And so there's this absolute balance that your soul will continue to make. So if something was offset in one lifetime, you would come into the next one and you would offset it with that balance, the yin and yang. So, my last life that I had might have been very tumultuous. And in this life, I get to be a teacher. Wow, how beautiful. But next life, I might go into something very difficult again. I don't know. But all I know is that the experience that we bring in are perfectly tailored to us. When I'll answer the question in a moment, when there is this, when I see the universe, or when they are teaching me things or showing me things, they show me everything in mathematics and geometry, everything. So you can understand that it's almost like we're living a computer life in a way, because for every action that we have, there is a reaction. And it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone on this planet. And I'll explain that in a moment. Question. Yeah, because actually that would make it very, it would be called cheating, because then you'd know when you were born in this life that there's a plan for it. If you remembered everything, first of all, you would be in agony. You may end up with guilt or shame or fear or resentment or all of those different things, because you would remember all those lives and it would have been way too much. Or you may have remembered all those and gone, oh, so this is a big classroom, blowing off this lesson. I'm going to check out and eat bonbons. What are they going to do to me now? Take me out, fine, I'll go to heaven, great. Okay, we would react too badly. We really can't. There are lives that we do remember. I'll share with you next Tuesday an experience that I had about my own personal letting go and my own personal journey of healing and growth. And one of the things that happened in that experience of healing and growth is that I really had to learn a lot about why I came into this lifetime with particular characteristics. So they showed me a past life where I was molested. They showed me a past life where I was a male and I was a man of the cloth. I was homosexual. I hated myself and I killed myself. And they showed how I was holding some of those little patterns from both of those that I needed to release in this lifetime. So some people are shown past lives, or you may not consciously understand it, but somehow you've got that in your being, because you still need to clear it in this life. Does that make sense? So whether you believe in past lives or not, it does not bother me whether you do or don't. Let it resonate or not. All I can do is share what I've been taught. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Jay in our audience just said that on Groundhog Day, the movie, that the gentleman in there got to the point where he didn't care. And I remember that. He really just got to the point where he didn't care. He's like, fine, and he was just actually reacting and wasn't learning any lesson or growing or changing because he knew what was happening. We can't come here and know what's happening. If we did, we wouldn't learn and grow. Mm-hmm. Yes. So Angelique is saying, you can do past life regressions, and yes, you can. And one of the things that, to ask yourself, though, is there a particular reason? I mean, it could be for fun and games. It could be interesting, but you don't want it to mess with the particular karma you have going on here. One woman found out that she had raped and pillaged, and she had come to me, and she went to a past life regression, and she came to me, and she was completely disturbed. And we had to work through like 2 or 3 different sessions to get her to understand that that was okay. And now she can move through and learn the lessons she has to in this life. Questions? Are you sorry if you got it right? So I love that wording. So we don't have to come back and live the crap because, so the question for those of you who didn't hear it is, how do we know that we got it right? How do we know that we don't have to come back and live the crap again? And so here's how we know. Our patterns stop. Okay? So one of my patterns that I brought in was manipulative, nasty women, and I don't even have a right to say it that way because I understand why they were brought into my life. Brought in again and brought in again. And I would blame them. Oh, look at how they are. There's this and there's that and they're looking at them. And I just kept getting them. And I was going to keep getting them until I learned my own lesson about where my part is in it. I had to learn to accept me, stop judging myself, stop beating myself up when they came in, stop judging them, stop beating them up, really get in my place of beauty and understanding. And then guess what happened? They stopped coming in. You know that you learned it when the pattern stopped. The other thing is when you can actually look at the lesson that you can see is a very difficult hardship, and you were able to move through it with grace and ease the next time it came. You always get final exams. Trust me. You're going to get exams all the time. They're going to test you. Well, you learned some. Do you think she learned it enough? I don't know. Let's give her a test. Okay, we'll bring in so-and-so. All right, let's get it in there. All right, here that person comes. How's she going to react? Ooh, not so good. All right, well, we got a little more learning to do. All right, and you're going to keep getting it. And as it comes in and you keep failing with it, it's not a fail. You just have to go learn some more. That's all. Your soul wasn't ready. Okay? That's the choice we have. We have a lot of choice on this earth. We're not just setting up experiences here and saying that, I don't have a choice. We have all the choice in the world to learn it or not. Questions? Oh, that's a big question. So I'm going to answer the most pertinent to that. What she asked is, what are some things that you can do to really allow yourself to learn the patterns or learn and learn the lessons? The number one thing that every single person has to do to learn their lesson is to look inside. Anytime whatsoever you are projecting outside of you and you're blaming and you're judging and you're saying it's their fault or you're looking externally for solutions, you're not going to learn it. Every single solution and everything you need to look at is right here inside of you. Everything. And I've watched many, many people who have taken so many courses in healing and they've gone through so many healing experiences and they've learned so much and they can articulate it like you wouldn't believe, but they cannot apply a thing because it's too scary to go there. There are people who are addicted to healing and addicted to training because they keep looking externally for someone to fix them, and the only fix is here. Make sense? All right, so big one, hard one. I actually had a gentleman in one of my workshops that I gave who actually had became a client and went through his own personal beautiful healing. But at the time, he was very new to healing. And he said to me, he raised his hand in one of my workshops after I said this, and he said, I am so sorry, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me that there is this just God who's going to torture children because that's their lesson. One of the things that I'm going to explain later on is about vibration. And I'm going to explain to you, and you'll understand in a little while, that everything in this life is a vibration. Emotions are a vibration. Pain is a vibration. Okay? Injury is a vibration. starvation is of our vibration. We look like we're killing the body. We look like we're hurting it. We look like we're doing damage, but the reality is you cannot kill your soul. You cannot kill it. All right? There is no destruction of the soul. Your soul knew that you came here to do this. Those children who are suffering and starving, they knew what they came for. And I have to tell you, resonate or not resonate, and it doesn't matter. I've talked to aborted fetuses who said, we planned this together. And they present themselves as like middle-aged women or men or however they are. And they're like, we planned this. But being the aborted fetus was a blip on my screen. And I am not taking a stance on abortion. Everyone, please do not give me emails or letters about that. I'm really not. But honestly, your soul knows. Make sense? So when it comes to suffering, if you look at it from a soul perspective, not the same thing. So the reality is, life is a bit of an illusion. You hear that all the time. And you know, when I went online to find a good visual for this, there were tons of these that says reality is merely an illusion. Oh, that's a very a persistent one. Okay? Yeah, it's a persistent one. You've got your karma that's coming back to bite you constantly, or it's coming back to give you some great experiences because you've really gone through some great lessons. But this life, although I love being engaged in it, I love humanity passionately, I love this experience that I'm in, I know that it's not it. I know that I'm going to incarnate again, and I know that I'm going to eventually be this amazing, beautiful soul, or I am this amazing and beautiful soul. It's just that I'm having an experience. And if we can look at it from that perspective, it becomes a little different. Here's what happens. When we come into this life, we give ourselves a body, okay? And we incarnated, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment too, we incarnated into an experience of third dimension, all right? And I'll explain that for a minute. And this third dimension means service to self. We incarnated into a service to self experience. To learn our lessons, we gave ourselves an ego. And I don't mean egoic. I mean the ego that it needs to be right, and the ego that gets wounded and hurt, and the ego that is jealous, and the ego that gets mad, and the ego that gets offended and wants to be special. Okay, that's the ego. And we give ourselves a pituitary-based thinking that's right here in our head. I was going to talk about the pituitary a little while later, but I'll give you the clip notes right now. Your pituitary gland is right behind the bridge of your nose, actually, so right behind here. Your pituitary gland is responsible for cortisol, the stress hormone, and adrenaline, the fear hormone. So we give ourselves all kinds of stress. We get stressed and we get anxiety and we get worried and we get fearful and we get in these places, and then we give ourselves some adrenaline, so we either fight or we flight. Okay? Those two things combined with this body and this vibrational earth of this service to self earth allows us to actually get engaged in our lessons. If we didn't have those four things, this body, the vibration of service to self, the ego, and the pituitary gland, we'd just sit peacefully here and go, well, there's nothing really to learn here. How fun is this? Okay? It wouldn't be any different than where we came from. So, before we start here, I just want to have you guys take a moment and just talk to whoever you're with. If you're with yourself, chat to each other online. Give some feedback to each other. What are you thinking? Because this is a lot to kind of think about. And I know a lot of you already know this, but what new perspective did you learn then? So let's take a few moments. If anyone needs a restroom break, this is a great time. Okay, so it looks like the stopping or the conversation like stopped. Everybody asked one question and now they're like, ah. so tell me questions that you have, reflection, thought, comments. What do you think of that?
You said a lot of things about that. I need more.
Yes. And okay, I will expand on that a little bit. So let me expand on that now, and then I want to take other comments and questions. But just a quick expansion on the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland, honestly, it releases a chemical within our body that causes us to get into, that really bothered me that you did that. And if you wouldn't get bothered by something, then really you don't get into any hardship, and you really don't care if anybody did it to you. If we didn't have that pituitary gland and we didn't release that chemical that got us into anxiety or worry or upset or fear, and we didn't have the ego to go along with it, then we would, and somebody could say anything to us, we'd be like, ha, thank you, Phil. And that'd be about it. You know, so it really plays a vital role in our experience here. It allows us to get into this place where we're gonna be upset. Okay, and so we deal with whatever we have to deal with. But here's the interesting thing. As we let go of old issues and as we grow, what happens is this. We learn to not let it control us. We learn to get into our pineal gland, and that's a big thing we're going to talk about tomorrow, or next Tuesday. The other thing that happens is we learn to, we can't shed the ego. We're not going to get rid of it, but we learn to temper it. It doesn't control us anymore. And the only way that that happens is when we've let go of enough of the internal issues, which is why it's essential for all of us to examine, what are my issues? What are my triggers? What bothers me? You know, if you want to know some triggers, think about your family. They'll say one thing to you. If they say, oh, your shirt looks really unironed. So, why do you always hate me? Okay? So there are these triggers that we have, and you just have to look at your triggers and you've got something. Okay? Question? We absolutely need it as humans, and I don't want to persecute the ego. But what I do want to see people do is move beyond their own issues so that when things come, because remember, the ego makes you want to be right and be justified and be special and you know, those kind of things. You can temper a lot of that. You can't get rid of it, and really, you know, the ego's there for a purpose. And you know, I can't continue to learn my lessons if I don't have it, so I don't want to get rid of it. I just want to be able to react to it well. So when somebody says something to me, I can either go, why are you judging me? Want to judge you for that? Okay, why did they say it to me? All right, I got to look inside. All right, so there are all these conversations that you have with yourself that aren't attacking or aren't wounded and aren't hurt and aren't you know, taking things personal. Right? Thank you for that question. Any more comments?
Say that I would like to make the ego like a little child, your inner child, and whenever that inner child is starting to take the forefront, I always think, and hug them, you know, comfort and.
I love that. Charlie just said, can I hear you if you were talking, do you think? What he said is, he said, I always like to look at the ego like it's a little child and to comfort it and to, you know, pet it and hug it, and it's okay, you don't have to be wounded, you're all right. You know, and it's a great perspective to look at it. And it is, like you said, your inner child, you know, just kind of treating it like your inner child, which it is. You know, we get wounded and we get triggered because of things either in childhood or you know, adolescence, or sometimes even in our 40s or 50s, 60s. It's going to continue to happen. Any other comments? All right, ready for some more? Let's do this. So here's the other thing. You absolutely knew what you were getting into before you came down here. And this is a very important perspective. Very. You knew what your lessons were. You chose your parents or your guardians, okay? And you chose your circumstances. Okay, you absolutely chose this family to be in, all right? No judgment. But you chose that. And, you know, it's almost like before you came down, you're like, okay, I'm going to sit with my tribe here. And, all right, my people, my souls, I love you. I know what I have to do. I got to learn this. I got to learn this. I got to learn this. And I got to learn this. So I'm going to give myself that alcoholic mom. I'm going to give myself that narcissistic dad. I'm going to give myself that bratty sister. Who I love. And I'm going to give okay, you're going to do these things. And you're going to set up circumstances. I need to have this happen to me in my lifetime. I came here to be abused. You know, I came here to feel lonely. I came here to have a self-esteem issue. Okay, I came here for these things. And you know, can you avoid them? No. But can you change your course? Yeah. Here's what happens. You were born, you knew what you did, you set yourself up, and you can learn your lessons at age 5 or 50 or 80, okay? And so it's going to change the course of your lessons. Or you might not learn them at all. And then you might have an early death, or you might, they're like, Jesus, we're totally not learning the lessons. Just get out of here. Okay? Or you just go through this and you keep trying, but you keep not getting it. Right? So then, you come back in another life and you do it all over again. And you come back and you go like this. I totally forgot I was supposed to do that. I totally forgot I was supposed to do that. All right, give it to me again. All right? I like that. You have tons and tons and tons of choice in this life. A lot of people say to me, well, okay, does that mean it's just fate? So now I just have faith? I have to leave everything and it's just going to happen anyway. Well, why would I even bother existing in this life? I'm just going to sit around and wait for it to happen. Fine. Okay, well, all right, that will either prolong your lesson or make it worse or make it harder. But you have tons of choice. If you set up for yourself at age 25, this thing right here is going to happen. I have to have that happen at 25. Okay. So you go about your life and you might have learned some other life lessons that made it so it's not as hard. Or you might have had this life and gone over here and made it a lot harder when it came. Okay, so you're going to make it easier or hard when it comes, but you're still going to have the experience because you still haven't learned the lesson that comes along with it or whatever it's going to trigger for you. But you can also come at from living in this state or this state or this state with this person or that person or this person. You can come at it from all different directions. You've got tons of choice in this life, right? And you can make this life beautiful or miserable. You can learn this lesson then. This will come at whatever age 30, and then you have here's more choice. I can get angry and bitter and resentful. Or I can kind of say, okay, I'm learning something here. I don't know what it is, but I'm learning. Or you can get really depressed for a while and move through, and that might be exactly what you needed to have happen. Or you can just say, you know what? I'm just going to float for a while. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to float for a while. I'm just move through this. Okay, all these choices. Your response is a choice. Make sense? So a couple biggies here. You came here to learn lessons, and you knew what the lessons were. And you knew you were going to come down to this vibration of Earth. You gave yourself an ego. You gave yourself the pituitary gland. Okay? You gave yourself so that you can come in here and do it. So let's talk about what happens when you get here, or why this existence, or what this is all about. So remember how I said everything is energy? Everything is energy. Everything is little points of light like that. This wall has little points of light. This tea maker does. My body does. Your cup does. Your feet do. Your hair do. Everything is breaking down into little points of light. And all little points of light in every place vibrate. Relationships vibrate. Towns vibrate. Bodies vibrate. Parts of your body vibrate. Okay? So everything has a vibration and everything breaks down into little points of light. The air is points of light. Remember how I said there was this thing called macrocosm versus microcosm? So we need to know a little bit about this to also make a lot of this make sense to you. It's hard to see in the room here, but what I'm going to try to point out is that, remember how I told you that everything in life, everything, whether it is creating a sun, a planet, a universe, a multiverse, a body, a plant, a tree, your soul, everything is created exactly the same way. Even itself is created the same way. Creation is creation. And what is explained is that all things in existence have the same mathematical principles. Okay, so how we grow and develop is the same. The earth has a soul, just like our body does. Okay? Trees have a soul, just like our body does. Animals have a soul, just like our body does. And I'm not trying to go against anyone's religious beliefs, and once again, I don't care to get into it. I don't want to argue with that. You can let it resonate or not. Okay? But here's what they explain. Because the same mathematical principles create everything, you're going to find that things are going to look alike from the universe to the body. This right here is a picture of the brain cell. This is a picture of the universe. And if you need this slide, go ahead and email me and I'll get it back to you. Or the PowerPoint will be online, better solution. Just grab the PowerPoint and you'll see it very closely. It's beautiful. But they look identical. A brain cell and the universe have the same mathematical principles, which is why of operation, which is why they look the same. Here we have the birth of a cell, okay, meiosis and mitosis are going through here, and the death of a star. same process, birth and death. They have the mathematical principles that are equal. Here is the iris of the eye, okay? Here's a nebula in space. They look the same. They're made with the same mathematical principles. So when they're made with the same mathematical principles, you know that everything is the same. So when I told you that the way that the body grows is the same way the soul grows, it's because of this. So we're going to talk then, how did we create your soul, or how did we create your body? Let's talk about that. When you were first created, all of creation, whether it's a star, whether it's your soul, whether it is your body, will go through the same stages. They're going to go through service to creation. Then they're going to go through service to instinct. Then they're going to go through service to self. Then they're going to go through service to others. Then they're going to go through service to love. Okay? And then it goes on from there into this beautiful expansion. But your soul would have been created in service to creation first. So here's what would have happened. You would have been invented as a little speck of energy. And all you would have gone through for a while is existing. And so here's your soul, your consciousness. I exist. Yeah, I exist. And you might have done that for like a couple hundred years, who knows. But you go through that whole thing where you're just existing, and you get used to existing. And when you're ready, your consciousness will actually expand and expands outward. Okay, just like a cell will. Okay, will expand outward when it's going through meiosis and mitosis, right? Before it splits, it expands. So the same thing with your consciousness. Your consciousness would have expanded. So then what happens is this: you are just this beautiful little sphere, and when you're ready for another perspective, you're like, okay, I get it. I'm ready. I got it. I got what this is. I need another angle. Whoa. So you give yourself another angle. You actually take your center, you move to the outside of the ring, and this becomes your new perspective. And now that's your outer ring. Okay, so it's kind of like meiosis and mitosis when it splits. You know, you got two different perspectives on the body. Well, now we've got two different perspectives of our consciousness. You're like, wow, look at it from over here. And then all of a sudden you get into this place where you're like, okay, let's get a third perspective. And you're over here. And what happens? You're like, whoa, this is cool. Okay, so you're getting these new perspectives. And that's going to continue to go on. You're going to continue to get these new perspectives, la, 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 okay, until it looks like this. So now we've got a full round, we call that the seed of life. You've got this beginning, all right? And if we look at this three-dimensionally, here's what it looks like. Okay, we've got a bunch of spheres, and they're kind of interlocking, and you've got all these perspectives, and it's really cool. And you know, then you're ready for a little more, kind of like this. Look at the 5-celled embryo. Amazingly the same, all right? It's the same experience. So your soul then will continue in its expansion, all right? And I am missing a picture in here. I need the full expansion picture. The full expansion picture I will show you. Apparently I don't have it in here right now. And it actually is a hexagon. And you will continue to expand outward into this beautiful hexagonal shape that is like this. It doesn't have the ring around it. The ring around this is actually shown in our Earth because if we had the full expansion of our consciousness, it would go out to here. It would be a hexagonal shape. You would see the round edges, okay, in a hexagonal shape. The ring indicates this is you and your consciousness contained in an experience. You're contained in a body. So your consciousness contained in a body is always indicated with a ring around it, and that's called the flower of life. When it is outside of the ring and you're shown with that hexagonal shape of all of those rings, it is called the fruit of life. Now, interestingly enough, the flower of life is shown in all ancient civilizations with the same name. So ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, ancient Tibet, ancient the Mayans knew all about this, okay? And I'm going to show you a couple of these. This is in Egypt. You're going to see the flower of life. It's communication about your consciousness contained in a body. And then you have to ask yourself this funny little question. Well, how did all of the different ancient civilizations bring this in? Was it UFOs? Oh gosh, no. Well, it could be. But you know what? Aren't they bringing it in the same way I did? Guess who taught me this? My guide. Through my mind's eye. Through my intuition. They showed me runes of geometry and taught me sacred geometry. Runes of it. So it's the same thing. We're bringing in the information. We just bring it in, and then we can teach about it. Did you ever wonder why there are all of these different initiatives going on right now about we need to have an integrated health system, we need to have free energy, and there are all these models that are coming up and they're all the same? Because we're all just bringing in the same thing. We're all getting the same information. So it's almost like the universe is like this. Okay, so we need to bring in an integrated health system. Okay, we'll plant it in her, in him, and her, and him, and her, and her, and her. Okay, good. So hopefully they'll all create it in their parts of the earth, but if not, at least one of them will. Okay, it's coming in. Same way as in ancient civilizations. Look at this. Here it is in Turkey. Here it is in an ancient artifact in Switzerland. Here it is in an ancient church in Bulgaria. And there's China. We hold that thing is. Right? We even see it in crop circles. And what my guides have explained about crop circles is they said it's a communication tool. This is the whole language about your existence. And when you have all the pieces and you figure out the code, you'll find a whole piece about your existence. And it's going to explain pretty much what I'm explaining to you. Right? They said there's a few more big things. I don't know, Mom. That's fine with me. All right. Here's an interesting thing. If we take now this, here's the expanded form. Here's the hexagonal shape I showed you before. All right. And if we take this row, and this row of circles, and we connect all of their centers, you get this beautiful thing called Metatron's cube. Okay? Metatron's cube is really significant because this contains, or can I say your consciousness contains all the mathematical and geometric principles that you need to create anything in life. Whatever you want to create, your consciousness holds the ability. So you can create happiness in your life, or you can create destruction. You can create anger in your life, or you can create beauty. You can create success, or you can create failure. You've got all of it inside of you, and all of your consciousness is creating. You are creating situations in your life, whether it's a car accident, or being fired, or being hired, or winning the lottery. You're creating. You have this ability because you have all of the ability within your consciousness to create. There's an interesting little shape, and I want to show you where this is located in your body. There's an interesting shape in here, and it's right here. Anybody know what this is? There are two. Say that loud, Charlie. Merkaba or a Merkaba, either way. And the Merkaba, it looks like this. There's two interlocking tetrahedrons. Now, we know that a pyramid has a square base. The tetrahedron has a triangle base. And there are two interlocking tetrahedrons, and they are said to house your soul. The Merkaba is said to house your soul. Well, isn't that interesting if we go back here and we know that this is our consciousness, all right? And here's the Merkaba shape right in our consciousness. Yeah, I guess it does kind of house our soul, doesn't it? Interestingly enough, Leonardo da Vinci had a lot of understanding of this. He's a brilliant, brilliant man who understood a lot about the human being, a lot about our body. And when he took those outer rings and he connected them, he was able to see a lot of mathematical properties that came out. His whole understanding of the human being and math and our creation and our ability to create was phenomenal. Here's a drawing of his with the Merkaba right on it, understanding this principle of our body and the principle of the Merkaba. Now, mystics, a lot of times, or mystical New Age thinking, a lot of times when I was first learning about what a Merkaba was, they said, it's a vehicle for your soul. So if you activate it in meditation, you can fly. That's not what they meant. Okay, so let's look at where this is in your body. Well, okay, give me just a second. I have no idea how that happened. For those of you who are not here with us, I just went from the slide that I was on all the way to the very last slide. I don't know how that happened. Thank you. Here it is. Yay. Okay. So here we are. Here's that beautiful truth of life, the expansion of your beautiful consciousness. If we were to look at where the Merkaba was located, it would be here from these two to here, from this one to this one to up here and back, all right? Your consciousness. Notice the hexagonal shape, all right? And notice that it is just all of these different representations of your perspective. Now we're going to back the train up a bit. I want you to think of your body. What does your body break down into? Cells. It breaks down into hair cells and tissue cells and blood cells and you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, organ cells, it doesn't matter. Everything is a cell. Every single thing. If we go inside of a cell, well, and understand the cell. Here's the basic understanding of the cell. All this stuff out here is everything that allows the nucleus to be alive. Okay, so you've got vacuoles to dispose of waste, okay? You've got, you know, food in here, you've got, okay, oxygen, you've got everything you need to keep the nucleus alive. This is all about the nucleus, all right? If we go inside of the nucleus is made of DNA, okay? And we know some things about DNA, right? DNA is made of adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine, which are protein molecules, and they interlock together to create this beautiful double helix. And there are some peptides that hold it together, but you don't have to know any of that. Here's what you have to know. Doesn't matter what's in the cell breaks down to the same thing. It breaks down into molecules. Okay, whether it's a peptide or whether it's a protein or whatever it is, it breaks down into molecules. Here's something we know about molecules. All molecules break down into atoms. That's what they break down into. Hydrogen, an atom, and an oxygen atom, or two hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom. Okay, all right, what do we get? Oh, water. All right, so here we are. We create these molecules out of little atoms. Okay? So every atom breaks down into the same thing: protons, neutrons, and electrons. So we get a negative charge with the electrons, positive charge with the protons, and negative or a neutral with the neutrons. Here's an interesting piece about this. And electrons, yeah, so electrons are negative, protons are positive, neutrons are neutral. This becomes exceedingly important to your understanding of you. Because when you have a negative experience in your life, you will actually create a charge around it. You're going to create a positive charge, a negative charge, or a neutral charge. If you've got a bad experience, you're going to create an overproduction of electrons around that memory, around that experience. Okay? When my mom forgot me at brownies, I was really sad. I have all kinds of electrons. Those electrons will stay in your body until they're released. Okay? And there are many ways we can do that. We're going to talk on the third Tuesday about releasing. Okay? But they stay in your body. If you have a happy experience, my 5th birthday party was so much fun, and you create a whole bunch of protons. And if you really just don't care, you're kind of neutral, you create neutrons. So everything in your being has a charge, right? The whole piece about healing is releasing the electrons. The electrons get us into literally a negative place. That's what negative emotions are. You've created too many electrons in your being because of your experiences in life. And what happened? Well, there you go. Now you're in a very low vibrating state, and you're angry, or you're sad, or you're depressed, or you're anxious, or you're fearful, or you're in guilt or shame, or whatever it might be. You create a physical overproduction of electrons in your body. So we need to neutralize those by releasing them, and we need to create more positive experiences so you can get into that positive place. Make sense? Okay. Oh, sorry, my guide just taught me something I didn't know. I'll explain that tomorrow. Wow. Or next time. So, sorry, I was like, whoa, I didn't know that. All right. So inside any proton, neutron, or electron, and I'm going to tell you something, the scientists will say that you will only see this inside of protons and neutrons, but my guides have said that's not true. In electrons, it's just hard to see because there's negativity. So you're not able to see this as well, but this is an actual photograph of the inside of a proton. Okay? And it looks the same inside of a neutron, and it looks the same inside of an electron. Everything breaks down into the exact same thing. Little teeny tiny points of light. Do you notice how it looks like a universe? It looks like a universe for a reason, because this universe is made of the same mathematical principles as an actual universe. So inside of us, we've got little teeny tiny universes that are inside of our atoms. Okay? They're holding a charge. Now, some interesting things with these little points of light. Incidentally, these are called biophotons. Not that you need to know that, but if you're interested, that's what they are. Photon means points of light. Bio means it's inside of a biological being. Okay? These little points of light outside of us in the air are just photons. Okay? Now, we're going to zoom in on one of those. If I zoom in, this is what it looks like. It is radiating heat, and it's radiating light. All right? It's beautiful, isn't it? That's what we break down into. Amazing. Now, let's zoom in a little bit more. What do you notice there? Hard to see in this. It's actually like a little star. You're starting to see a little star form inside there. Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to point a couple shapes out to you. First of all, do you see that hexagonal shape? Okay, do you see this little shape right in here? What was that? Merkaba. Okay, we're going to zoom a little bit closer. Now, do you remember that first thing, the 5-celled embryo or the first seed of life? There you start to see it taking shape on the inside here. I'm going to zoom into the very last photo, and these are actual photographs. They're 30,000 times magnified. And take a look at that. And I'm going to put it next to this. Okay, just let yourself absorb that for just a moment. There's your consciousness contained inside of your atoms. Totally contained inside of you. And they hold information. They hold a charge. Guess what? If you take a hexagon and you draw it out three-dimensionally, you get a prism. That's what a prism is. It's a crystal. That's what a crystal is, a microchip. What does a microchip hold? Information. What's inside here? All of your karma, all of your reactions, all of your memories, and they all hold a charge. It's very intricate. Question?
This may have been up for I'm not sure exactly what the referring to this says. Does this mean that we get chosen certain things, for example, ill health, that we will never see?
Oh, absolutely not. Oh, good Lord, no. No, you're going to have that health issue, and we're going to learn, especially on the third Tuesday, we're going to learn a lot about health issues. And actually, you're going to learn a lot about health issues when we go through the chakras. There's a health issue related to each of your chakras, or there are multiple health issues. So we're going to learn a lot about that. But you can let go of these health issues when you've learned the lesson. You've got the lesson here for that particular reason. So and the other thing, and then I'll give you some of my personal experiences, but for those of you who don't know, I've had 11 operations and 5 different pre-existing conditions. I was in the most unhealthy space I could ever be in, and today, guess what I have? Okay, 0. You can get to that space once you learn the techniques of letting go, and once you're willing to. You will keep the health issues, and you will keep sadness or despair or guilt or shame or fear or insecurity or all those things until you really understand this and you're ready to let go. Okay? Okay. So here's some of the things that this means. What this means is this. Your consciousness is contained in a body here on Earth. Okay? And when we are contained here on Earth, you break down into nothing but your own consciousness. Your soul is you. Your soul, when you are just the soul, you're one of those little biophotons. One. When you're done, you're just going to be your consciousness again, going, woohoo! And what did you do when you came here? Multiply, multiply, multiply until I create this body. You are created from your soul. Multiply. Right? That also means, though, you control what you hold or don't in this lifetime. It is you. You create your experiences. You know, you have a choice to let go. It's really understanding. And one more thing, and then we're going to move on. Here's a really interesting thing. You are the same, exact same as source energy. Okay? The only difference is your condition to the human experience. So I'm going to give this quick short story, and then we're going to take a break. Here's many of you know this who are in front of me, but I was born with hip defects, and one of my hips I had operated on, when I was 45, my other hip gave out. And it was very painful. And the MRI shows that I have ossified cartilage, which means it turned to bone. I had multiple tears. I had a misshapen hip, and I had bursitis really bad on the side. And I sat there, and I knew that we were just conditioned to believe that we couldn't heal ourselves. And I knew we broke down into nothing but little points of light. And I knew that that was me. And I sat there going, okay, I'm not going for surgery. I'm going to actually heal this on my own. I'm going to heal this on my own. Oh, my God. What am I doing? Oh, my God, can I really do this? And I sat there. And I made the decision I was not going to have surgery. And I sat there for the first week of my own personal healing. And I argued with myself. But the scientists say, you can't heal bone, you can't change tissue, you can't do this. What are you thinking? Are you thinking you're God? No. I can do this. So after the week of convincing myself, when I really realized that we break down into nothing but source energy and we have all the power within us to change anything, it took me 3 days. I've never had it operated on. It's 2 years later, and it's healthier than the hip I had operated on. We are beautiful, powerful, limitless individuals. We're just conditioned to the human experience to think that we're not. Let that sit with you, and let's take a break. Yay. I'm going to just pause this while we're on break. Okay, we're going to get started in just a few minutes here. So if you can hear me from at home, just a couple more minutes, and we'll get started again. Great. Thank you. That's a beautiful compliment. Once again, for those of you, if you didn't get a chance to download the workbook, Charlie did put it up in the chat, but you can also find it on our website in our store. So you're going to want to make sure you download that. We've got a bunch coming up where you're going to want to reflect. So, so even if you just have it up on screen where you can at least read it on the screen, that would be great. So I think he's going to put the link up again right now for you. It just would be very helpful. The workbook. Mm-hmm. Bam, here's your learning. Oh God, it's because it's not coming from me. It just comes right through, and that's why it was really interesting. I don't know if you heard that, where I said, oh my God, they just taught me something new, and I went into the bathroom and I'm like, oh, what was that? And they said to me, they're like, oh, you don't need to know. The minute you need to know, it'll be there. I'm like, oh, I don't even know what it is. It was so monumental. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And then I'm like, I don't remember what it was anymore. Because it's not coming from me. It's just right through. Oh, I keep saying Tuesday. I know. Yes. Information for everyone. It's not Tuesday. It's Thursday. They said it'll already be there. And that's the same thing that's happened every single time. It's like, it's just, I don't even have to think about it. It's just there. And I don't even have to think about, like, even what I say. I just have to, you know, go. Start talking. Oh my God, Charlie, how long do I take to get ready for things? I changed the PowerPoint today. Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's not me. Makes it easy. Yeah, no. Yeah, right. That's just opening the pineal, though, you know. And I know that we all have different abilities with our pineal and our clairvoyance and that kind of thing. Even though we all have it, but you know, it's kind of like an athletic ability. Some are born with it heightened for a reason. You know, so. Oh my gosh, it was still the same stuff though. Still the same stuff. And you know, the kids, I was nominated for National Teacher of the Year 2 years in a row. And it was because what they brought through to teach them, I was teaching language and middle school language. And when I was teaching them, it was like everything that was pertinent to them. They would just bring it right through me again. It was the same thing. And they explained to me, they said, all those years that you were a teacher and a principal and an educational trainer and all the education you got, they said that was us training you. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Once again, not me. I'm the vehicle. Yeah. All right. I think we have everyone back. So let's get moving. So we're going to take a look at the next slide, which is understanding your energy centers. Now, a really important thing to understand about your body before we even get into understanding energy centers is that energy centers aren't this mystical thing, or chakras is another name for them. Energy centers are very physical within your being. So what happens is that our entire being is made of what's called fascia. We are actually 60% made of fascia. Fascia are little teeny tiny microtubules. They are hollow and they are fluid filled, and they carry your energy. So those little biophotons, okay, they're carrying your energy. It's like an energetic highway in your body, right? So, so what happens is that throughout the body, the other word for fascia is called connective tissue. So if you were ever in pre-med or if you ever did a lot of dissecting, you would cut through all the fascia to get through to the muscle and the bone and things like that. You can think of it this way, you know, like when you are working with like a chicken and you want to pull the skin off, it's all that white stuff, that's fascia, okay? All right. You can also look at it like an orange. If you take a look at the orange, you pull the skin off and there's that white stuff in there. And then you take a look at each little piece of the orange. It has another protective thing around it. That's fascia too. And then you open that up, and then around each piece of pulp, there's another little band. Okay, that's fascia too. Same thing in our body. Our body is made of fascia. Typically, the fascia are these beautiful spider webs, and it's kind of a crisscrossing mesh, all right, is what it looks like. But in the myofascial textbook, they explain that there are belts of fascia, and they look just like this. This comes right out of the myofascial textbook, the blue. We just added the beautiful colors to it, okay? But this is what it looks like. These are the bands of fascia in your body. What it is the fascia is looking like this. It's solid belts of fascia. That's why they're called energy centers, because it's concentrated centers of energy, your energetic highway, all right? You've got these belts of fascia. And if you notice where chakras are located, these beautiful colors, and you look at the bands of fascia, they coincide. They're the same thing. Inside your body, you have particular things that go along with each of the chakras, each of the belts of myofascial tissue. You have a gland or glands that are associated with each of these. You also have a nerve plexi that's associated with each of your glands. Each of your chakras or energy centers. And what this indicates is that each of your energy centers, the health of it or dishealth of it is going to create physical health or unhealth within the body. Okay, because the glands are associated, your endocrine system, the nerve plexi, it's all associated with your chakras. So understanding and truly understanding the vibration of your energy centers is going to become vital. The energy centers have a particular hertz or a particular vibration or a range, all right? So you're going to go from a lower vibrating all the way up to the highest vibrating, and they do scaffold that way. Lower vibrating, then higher, until you get to the highest vibrating center in your body. There is a bit of a myth of an understanding about the chakras. We have said that we have 7 chakras, and if you count those there, you will see 7. However, many people thought that the top of your head was a chakra. It's not a chakra, it's an opening, which is why it's usually indicated as the 1,000-petaled lotus. It's an opening, okay? Let me explain the chakras. The belts of fascia are going to go here, down by your tailbone, okay, for your root chakra. It is going to go here for your sacral energy, just like we've learned. Or for, you can call it we'll just stick to sacral for now. You can call it here your solar plexus energy. It's right below the rib cage, okay? Here we've got the heart energies, but the heart energies have 2 sections, okay? There's heart energy that's here, and this is self-love. We have a gland here that's called your thymus gland. Your thymus gland is responsible for healing, right? It's responsible for your immune system in your body. And so when it comes to healing, there's this section here that is all about healing the body physically. It's also about love for others or healing that we're sending out to others. Okay, so we've got our personal self-love, and then we've got our healing love. That makes sense? All right, so we've got these 2 parts. And then if we go up here, we've got the throat chakra and the third eye chakra. Right, and the top is this beautiful opening. We're going to start to go through these energy centers, and we're going to start to do some activities. And so this is where you're going to get a little bit more engaged in what's going on here. The first part, we had to have a little sit and get so that you can understand this. Now I need engagement from you. This is where you're going to start your analysis. The root chakra. If you don't know what about the root chakra, it's all about your foundational needs. If you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know that that means all of your safety and shelter and food and security, okay? Same thing here. Health, your finances, having that secure. Wellness, your physical health. Security, shelter, safety, feeling cared for, feeling accepted, feeling supported, feeling that you can trust, feeling seen and heard. Those are all basic foundational needs that we've got to have. Think about a child. A child has to have these or they're going to have some dysfunction in life. Many of us set up that some of these are not going to be set up for us in life because that's part of our lesson. So if we came in and we weren't nurtured appropriately, and it's going to give you some insecurity or need, or this need for attention or love, that's probably what you set up for yourself. That's one of mine. Totally set that up for myself. Okay? So we sometimes will actually create dysfunction before we come down in our root chakra. In the root chakra, it is located at your tailbone, and the vibration, just like colors are a vibration, so is your chakra. The color is the color of red because it vibrates at the same hertz or the same revolutions per minute as the color red. Okay, so that's why if you're really struggling with something with root chakra, wear a lot of red. Okay, you need to increase your finances, maybe wear a lot of red. All right, so you can see everybody wearing red next time. What's that? Yeah, yeah, it's a variation. Okay, so what happens though is that along with each of these areas, you're going to have a physical dysfunction. I want you guys to open up to page 3 in your workbook, and those of you who are at home, open up to page 3 or pull it up on the screen if you can. Page 3 in your workbook is going to show you that your chakras can be overindulged, they can be underindulged, or they can be balanced. And you're going to have physical dysfunctions or physical health based on the health of this. So the other thing that can happen is you will end up with physical addiction. You will end up with physical addictions. Yeah, physical addictions I think is the main thing that you're going to end up with along with that. You're going to be able to look at the things that are happening in your life and say, I've got a root chakra issue. So for me, I want to explain a few things that I had. I had frequent urinary tract infections. I had the hip defects, all right? I had spastic colon going on here. I had horrible periods. Okay. Kelly had a root chakra issue. Until I dealt with the root chakra issue and also a sacral issue, until I dealt with those, I was going to have these issues here, right? And when I dealt with those, I could let all of the health issues go. I don't have to have those anymore. And when they return, I know I've got something to deal with. Right? The physicality of my body is indicating there's something in one of my chakras I've got out of alignment. So what I want you to do is I want you to really look at your energy center, your root center, using page 3 in the workbook. And I want you to just to look at what you have for physical ailments or what you have going on in your body. Circle different things that you're seeing. Look at the addictions and see if there's something there that you need to address. Now, not everybody will end up manifesting physically, but it's one of the ways to start to analyze. You will most likely have things in all of these, but you're going to find that there's a concentration in one area. So while you're finishing up, I'll share a little bit more about the physicality or the physical manifestation. When I was in a place where I didn't love myself, there were multiple ways that it came out in me. For me, it came out in asthma, right here, self-love. Your arms are an extension of your heart chakra. So I had Kinbach syndrome here, so I've got 6 bones missing here. I ended up with fibromyalgia right up in here because, and only because, that's what's in my genetics. So if you have something else in your genetics, heart disease, or you might have, I don't know, easily breaking ribs, breast cancer, different things like that. Those things are going to manifest if and only if you've got that issue going on. If I were in a place of self-love, it wouldn't manifest. It just wouldn't manifest. And we could blame things physically on the environment. No, breast cancer is because we're using bad chemicals in our deodorants. That's why we're getting breast cancer. Well, that may have some contribution. Okay, I have no doubt that that is physically what's helping to manifest it. But did you ever notice that some people can use deodorants all their life and that never happens? And other people use deodorants and it happens? Because of where they're at with their consciousness, right? It's where they're at with their self-love, okay? So it doesn't have to manifest. You could look at people in the same family. They could have lupus in their family, all right? And these people got lupus, these did not. It's genetically in all of them. You have to look at where they're at in their well-being, okay? So just because you have something in your family history does not mean that it has to manifest. It will manifest because there's a lesson that you're going to be learning from it, or because you're in a place of just health with it. Mm-hmm.
So if someone is like really young,
yeah. I'll explain that. So what she's asking is explain this about children, because so children come in and they've got these little childhood diseases. What is that? Do they come in without self-love? I got pneumonia at 2 weeks old. Yeah, I can tell you. Self-love, that past life that I had to clear was the life with when I was a male and I hated myself and committed suicide. I came in with this issue. I had to clear it in this lifetime. All right. And so sometimes we do come in with issues, but the other reason we might as children come in with diseases is because that's exactly what we are supposed to learn, or the parents and those around them are supposed to learn. There are many of these beautiful angels who are like, okay, I'll be that child. I spoke to a mother who her daughter was 13 when she passed. The mother was an EMT, and she had gone to the tanning bed one afternoon, and her daughter died of a heart disease or a heart condition. She didn't know that the girl had it. And so she spent years just beating herself up that I'm selfish. I went to the tanning bed. I was an EMT. I could have saved her. And finally, I worked with the woman 2 times, and I saw the daughter coming through. The deceased daughter came through as a spirit, and I knew it was her, but she's like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Actually, mother's not ready. So after the mother did some clearing and really released some of her sadness, it was the 3rd time that the daughter said, okay, you can let her know I'm here. And so I let her know, your daughter's here and she'd like to talk to you. And here's what the daughter said. She said, we planned this together. We planned this. You and I together planned this. I knew I was going to die at 13. We knew that. And she's like, and this was so that you can go through this growth. You think you're honoring me by staying sad and depressed, but you're not at all. We came here so that you can grow, and now get up and go. Makes sense? So sometimes the kids come in and they have this whole purpose for that. It's quite beautiful. But again, there really is no suffering. It's just a vibration. And when we end, we're not really ending. Right? Pain is when the vibration stops, is what my guides have explained to me. And that'll become more clear when I talk about the scaffolding of emotions and the vibration. When we get into low vibration, it really hurts us in a way, or it feels bad because we're used to being at a very high vibration when we're not here. So when we're here and we feel low vibrating emotion, it hurts and it feels awful. And when we have an injury, we're stopping momentarily the vibration, which hurts even more. It gets us into the lowest vibration there. Make sense? Everything's a vibration. So hopefully you've had a moment to just sit and start to reflect on the root chakra. But there's some things that I want to bring you through as far as understandings about the root chakra. First of all, you want to always ask yourself these questions. One of them is to ask yourself is who built your foundation? To start to get beyond some of the pain or anguish that you brought in for lessons about your root chakra, safety, security, stability, people who are abused or people who are, had no nurturing, who, lost, were abandoned, all of those kind of things. Those are some very hard lessons that we brought in to understand. And a lot of the experiences that we had were given to us by our parents, or by our, childhood friends or schoolmates or, teachers, wherever it might be, and they're brought to us for a particular reason. They're brought to us, and we brought them in our life to give them to us. But we don't have to hold that. We don't have to hold the foundation that someone else built for you. If someone gave you the abuse, you don't have to hold that. That doesn't have to be your foundation, because if this is your foundation, all right, let's take this nice little bolster, and I'm going to make that my foundation, which is the abuse that my mother gave me, okay, which she didn't, by the way. But, Mom, seriously. But if you're standing on this foundation, how solid is this? This wasn't your foundation. This is what somebody else gave you. You're in a very rocky foundation, and eventually it's going to crumble, which is why a lot of people go through a lot of healing, and they get to that point where they're like, okay, I've let it go. I forgive my mom. I'm okay, and I'm going to stand in this really good place, and I'm going to be really strong in my foundation, but it's still crumbling, okay? Because they're still holding on to that foundation that wasn't theirs. And what I have a lot of people really do is just say, get out of there. Get somebody else's foundation out. You've got to give it back to them. Give that foundation that was created back to your mother. Give the ownership for that back to them, which is, then I always get this. I feel guilty if I give that back to her. I don't want to give that to my mom. I know why she did it. She was just insecure, and I don't want to give that back to her. And here's what I tell them. If you don't give it back to them, they cannot grow. They have growth to do from what they gave you, from the abuse they gave you, the neglect they gave you, from the criticism, from the judgment, from the things like that. That was their lesson too. And by giving it to you, they took part of it out of themselves. You want to help your parents, you want to help your schoolmates, you want to help your teacher, you want to help somebody else, give it back. Not out of anger, not out of resentment, not out of spite. You give it back out of love and honor and respect for both of your journeys. I have to give this abuse that you gave me back to you, because I'm not going to own it anymore. I will keep the lessons that I need for my own personal growth and my own personal beauty. I needed that. I needed that experience. I get it now. But I have to give it back to you. I can't make that part of my foundation. You know what I'm going to stand on? I love me. I'm going to create this foundation. I support me. I get me. I understand you. I forgive you. I stand on me. I stand because I trust me. I stand here because I feel my own safety. I support myself. I love myself. I believe in myself. That's my foundation. It can't be anybody else's. That makes sense? Standing on anyone else's foundation, it will crumble. This is a lot of where the forgiveness will come in, and we're going to talk about that on the fourth Thursday, not Tuesday. So what I want you guys to do is there's a bit of reflection on this. Go ahead and open up page 4 in the workbook. And this is all questions about who built my foundation. And I'm just going to read these for those who are working online. So if you don't have your workbook, at least you can still participate. But those of you who are in the room, just take a moment and really reflect on what was your foundation. And I want you guys to also reflect on this. Who built your foundation about how you feel about money? Is money good? Is money evil? Is it hard to come by? Is it good? Is it bad? Who built your foundation of whether you can be a healthy, solid human being? Who built whether you're seen and heard in a good, healthy way? Who built whether you're accepted? Right? Think about all those things in the root chakra. Yes. Yes. What Grace is very eloquently saying, and it makes so much sense, is that, but didn't we give ourselves all of that abuse or that neglect or all that stuff for a reason? So why would we want to give it back? Because we're going to accept the lessons that come with it.
Then why do we want to give that? I mean, it didn't come from them.
Oh, but it did. We chose them as parents, but they're the ones who had the behavior that gave it to us. It was definitely their behavior that gave it to us. We chose those parents because we knew that they would give it to us. Okay? Yeah, so we chose that experience. But a lot of their behavior, you also have to give back to them. You have to give them ownership back and say, I know that I brought you in to give me this, but I am going to surrender this back to you so that you can deal with it. And I'm going to take the lessons that I need to learn, but I can't own that as part of me anymore because I didn't do it to me, you did. And I'm not blaming you. I asked you to, right? But I can't own it as me anymore. Can't take that. Yeah. Yeah, well, and you're going to continue to learn from those experiences. Right. When you're, yeah, if you're first dabbling in it and you're not ready to give it back, you're still learning from it and you're not ready to forgive them and you're not ready to let it go, don't give it back. But there comes a point when you do have to give it back. And you have to say, you know what? I can't hold on to blame for this anymore. I can't hold on to judging them for this. I've got to find compassion for me and compassion for them. And I just have to give back what they gave me. I can't keep doing that. You know, the gentleman who I told you raised his hand and said, you know, I have this hard time believing that, God, the just God brought in all this suffering for children. He had to go through so much growth and forgiveness for his parents who called him a no good, lazy piece of shit. Those weren't his words. And finally it came a point where he was not going to own those anymore. They were not his words. You need to say, nope, those were your words. I appreciate you for bringing me into this space. I appreciate the lessons I learned, but I'm not. I'm not a piece of shit. I'm beautiful. And he got to that point and it was amazing. So that's the giving back part. So I'll read some of these questions. So the first question is, who built whether or not you trust yourself or others? Who built whether you feel safe in this life? Who built whether or not you feel accepted, loved, and cared for? Who built whether you feel empowered? Who built whether you feel secure with money? And who built whether you feel seen and heard in a healthy way? You can reflect any way you want to. You can put just names if you want. This is all for your own personal reflection, or you can write out detailed, explanations, but this is all for you. Who created or who gave you their experiences or who demonstrated their behavior toward you that caused some of this? Who instilled it? That's a great way to put it, yeah. Oh, you sure can, because you're a part of it. Yeah, we're in all of them. Yeah, no, because then sometimes there is a big me, that I'm the one who keeps perpetuating this. It might have started with my parents, but I keep perpetuating it. Okay, I think, there's a lot of people writing that. I'll wait. Okay, we're going to just start to come back together again. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have you work with a partner. So if you're at home, you can just continue some reflection or just really start to think about your root chakra. And I'll have, well, actually, just go ahead and look at the description of the root chakra and really start to reflect on that. You can look further at the disabilities or the dysfunctions that can come with that. Or if you're with someone, get into a partner activity. And what I want you to do is I want you just to talk with a partner and share how these foundations affected you when you were young and how they impacted you now, feeling safe and secure, feeling supported, having financial security, feeling seen and heard. And if you don't want to partner with someone, you have the option to just opt out and not partner. If you would like to, take some time and just kind of talk about the root chakra and what it does to us, or even generally as a society. We'll take just a few minutes. Okay, let's just start to wrap up some of the conversation. And any comments, any reactions or anything that you want to share from just really reflecting on the root chakra, either the health or reflecting on our foundational needs or who built it or letting it go. Or say that again? Yeah, and I love what she said there. She said, you know, it feels like every single person built my chakra. Like everybody I grew up with built my chakra. And that is 100% true. It's all of our life experiences. It's everybody that we've been exposed to. It's all of the mentors and all the guides and all the teachers. They sure did. But we know that there are some key players. So sometimes those key players who really impacted you are the ones we need to give it back to. A great insight. Yeah, you got some of those? I do too. Might have been my fourth grade teacher. All right, any other comments? Yeah. Yeah, Jay is talking about how, when he had some experiences with a mother and sister who were, very critical, and what they did, just totally turned it around to him, so that when he gave that back, it was empowering for him. You can actually turn around and empower him, and that's exactly what can happen. When you realize that you brought that in for a reason, and you can figure out, why did I bring that in, then all of a sudden you can transform from the inside out. Once again, if you stayed in that blame game and you kept it out here, you're just going to keep blaming. If you're not going to do any good to them, you're not going to do any good to you. You're going to create negativity in you. You're actually sending negativity to them, making their life worse. So when you can take it back and you actually are able to grow from it, and what happens is this. There's a saying that Paulo Coelho said, which is, when you change, everything around you changes. And that's because when you change in here and you let go and you stop blaming, you stop, putting it out there, you're taking the negative electrons you once sent to them, and you're allowing them to dissipate, making their life even better. That's what happens when we clear that root. Any other comments? That, he said, how do you clear it? That's going to start to come all the way through this. You're going to get little lessons all the way through, and by the third Thursday, you're going to get some of the techniques. So it's suspenseful. All right. Let's talk about the sacral chakra. All right. And by the way, if anybody else is getting warm in here, that I did turn the air off. Getting warm. Yeah, maybe turn it back on. All right. So let's talk about the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra has some very important functions for us. First of all, it is the expression of who you truly are. And when I say expression of who you truly are, it's expression of who you truly are as a soul. Like, who are you? Who were you meant to be? Who are you as a soul before you ever came in this body? Okay? This is our expression. It's our expression center. So it's how we express ourselves creatively. It is how we express ourselves sexually. And that doesn't necessarily mean the act of sex, but it can. But it's actually, we all have sexuality within it. It's how do we express that? Are we stifling it? Are we overexpressing it? Or are we just a beautiful, healthy sexual being? It's our playfulness, it's our wittiness, it's our child self. Okay, it's how we are going to, when we talk about creating or being, it's our state of being. We need to create by building buildings. We need to create by creating mathematical formulas. Do we need to create by making music or art? What is the way that we express ourselves? So some interesting things about the sacral that I want to share with you. If you want to know what you're really like, many of you, but not all, and I stress this, not all, many of you can think back to times in your childhood. You can think, you know what? When I was 13, I was really mean. Or when I was 6, I used to be happy and bubbly and play because I didn't let anything affect me. And you can actually go back and say, yeah, I can see me. I was this. Some people don't get to that point because they really have brought in some really difficult experiences for themselves early on, right? So then what it takes is you sitting inside and just reflecting. What is it that I love? What is it when I'm doing this? I am happy and exuberant. When I feel this way, I am great. Or you can start to say, this is what I'm not, because I know I don't like being in front of people. Ooh, that makes me want to cringe. Or I'm not great with social interaction. That's not who I am. So one of the big things that we need to do for the health of our sacral is really accept and love every part of who you genuinely, authentically are. So I need to share a story. I had a beautiful client. I absolutely love her, very gentle, loving soul. But she's very tiny, teeny tiny and really short, and she's this cute little woman, and she's in corporate America. So what did she do in corporate America? And she's got this soft, gentle voice. She's like, she tries to be very forceful, and she really tries to make sure that she is her. And she tries really hard to be big and tall, and she's like, I don't know why everybody at work doesn't like me. I'm like, what do you like there? And I'm getting all this, like, psychically going, ooh, she's like, I can see the people at work, they're showing me visions of this, and I'm like, okay, tell me about you at work. And then I said, okay, tell me about who you are as a soul. What were you like? And they showed me a picture of her when she was like 6, and she's like, oh, I'm so shy. And she's like, I was so gentle, I was so quiet, and I said, well, do you like that? Yes, I love that. I like to just be alone. I like to be in my space. I like to, do that. And I'm like, so why are you doing that? Like, well, because I have to. That's what. And I said, no. She's like, but people won't hear me. I said, no. And I said, here's the thing. Anybody who's trying to exert themselves in a non-authentic way is not going to be received by those around you. I don't care whether your authentic self is loud and exuberant or quiet. You have to be authentically you. What happens is this, is when somebody is disingenuous with who they are, or disingenuous with who they are, and they're interacting with somebody else, people can feel automatically, because those little biophotons that we have, that we're made of, you can't contain those. They're floating out of your body all the time, and they're going into everyone around you and everyone that you meet. So remember, it holds all of your information, and it holds everything that your patterns are and all of your beliefs about yourself. So if your beliefs are, I totally have to fake it so they think that I'm really, really strong and powerful, well, that's going into them, and they can feel you're not genuine. So how do they respond to you? Yeah. So she started to speak. I said, you can speak as quiet as you want when you're in your beautiful, authentic space. And you can say it as you know, from this gentle, beautiful way. And she was wearing harsh corporate clothing. And I said, do you like that? She said, no. So dress how you want. She's like, I want to dress soft. Well, dress soft. So she started dressing soft, and she started speaking in this really soft way, and she stopped forcing, and she started to go from this gentleness that she has. She has made so many friends. Her entire work life has turned around, and she's like, it totally works. I said, yeah, because you're you. You can't show up in life as how you think life should expect of you. You can't show up according to how your dad wants you to be or your mom wants you to be. You can't show up how your spouse wants you to be or how you think that you know, you'll be accepted. It has to be you. It is genuine. The other piece about this is to really remember this, that when we're thinking about who we are, we have to accept the soul qualities that we were given. We have to accept them. I was working on some of this today. It was beautiful. But I can share a personal experience with this, which is I've got fire, all kinds of fire in my personality. Charlie, you don't know anything about my fire, do you? You. Kelly can go on. I can walk. I got all this fire. So when I was young, it came out as temper and anger and fire, and I was really mad. Age 13, I destroyed my entire room. Every mirror, every picture, everything that was in there, I destroyed the whole thing. Okay. That fire is what brought me across country. That fire is what is allowing us to build the Heal Center. That fire and passion has gotten me so far in life. But I had to look back at my childhood, and I had to look back and say, you know what? Kelly at 13 was learning about her fire and passion. She wasn't born knowing it. There's no recipe or there's no guidebook that says, okay, if you're fire, here's what's going to happen. No guidebook. There's no understanding. Nobody teaches you about that. You just do because that's what you do. You're learning about it. So I had to accept me, that when I was acting in these ways that were very uncomfortable for the people around me, sorry, Mom and my sisters and my dad. So, but you know, when I was acting that way and I was breaking every door hinge because I slammed the doors in our house so much, I had to look back and say, I get you. I get you, hot little fiery, passionate Kelly. And I accept you and I love you and I forgive you. Right? And it's understanding that every one of our personality traits is a double-edged sword. There are things we're going to love about it and things we're going to hate about it. And you can't look at your past and say, you made all these mistakes, look at you. Well, of course you did. You're trying to figure it out. We're not born in this life wise. We might have wisdom in there, but we're not born that way. We have to move into it. We have to learn about our wisdom, learn how to accept it. We're not born perfect. We're not born with qualities that everyone's going to like. You know, we're muddling through. And me learning to accept my fire and learning to accept my passions, learning to accept that I can be a little big. You know, you learn how to temper that, and you learn how to work with your passions and your fire, right? So you really want to think about your personality traits and really think about how they work with you. Yes. Yeah, today was talking about Jim Morrison, about how he had a lot of anger, but it was that anger that allowed him to actually, once he learned to channel it correctly, was channeled into his music and came out with this monumental experiences for us. Yeah, we have to learn to accept everything that we have. So I want you to take a moment. I want you, first of all, there are 2 different pages I want you to do. And what I want you to do is I want you to take a look, first of all, on the health issues that can come along if you are not expressing yourself well in your sacral. And I want to talk specifically women and men. When it comes to expressing yourself sexually, you also have to ask, am I healthy there? Am I trying to be this? Am I trying to be that? Am I not authentic in my behavior there? You know, and that's also going to affect you. And then am I working so hard that I'm not able to express myself in the ways that I want to express myself creatively? Am I lacking that? The other thing is, am I not giving myself enough nurturing? Those are also things to think about with the personal health of the sacral chakra. You know, so who are you authentically? Are you nurturing yourself? Are you loving yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? And are you expressing yourself the way you need? So go ahead. That is page 5. So page 5 in the workbook, just reflect there first. And then I'm just going right ahead into the next page. And I want you to go into page 6 and ask yourself, who am I as a soul? And on this page, there are some ideas there, but write anything around the edges. Who are you? The authentic you. Okay, hopefully you've had some time to just reflect on the health issues that come along with the sacral chakra, and you've had a chance to really reflect on the soul you. And the soul you, really accepting, understanding who you are as an authentic soul, that has become an absolutely vital piece of every single one of the people that I've worked with for healing. And I can't even tell you, moving you into that beautiful, authentic you is essential. So we're going to end with a little light meditation. So I'm going to have you just drop your stuff. I want you just to think about who you are as a soul. You can get as comfortable as you want. There's some pillows up here if you want to get on the floor. Get yourself into a comfortable position. Okay. So what I want you guys to do, we're going to actually get into a meditation where we're going to really activate in your sacral chakra. We're going to activate some beautiful soul expressions, some expression of who you are. We're going to start with a little going into the roots and allowing yourself just to reflect there on some of the experiences that you've had throughout your life that maybe have rocked your roots foundation, and allowing you just to bring forward what you need, and then going through and expressing you. So what I want you to do is just start by closing your eyes, allowing yourself to take a really deep, deep breath into the base of the abdomen. Deep cleansing breath, releasing from the mouth. Stress, tension. Good. Breathing in again. Through the nose, beautiful, pure source energy into the base of your abdomen, dropping the pelvic floor, relaxing the buttocks, letting your gut hang out, holding the breath slightly, and releasing the breath through the mouth. Now just imagine that your feet are connecting in with the earth, really grounding into this experience that we're having. Allowing yourself to feel a connection to the earth that maybe you haven't had before. A connection that understands this experience. You may feel pulsing or tingles on the bottom of your feet. You may feel a pulling into the earth. So really allow yourself to imagine that you're growing energetic roots that are connecting deep into the earth, accepting this human experience. And then allow yourself to open up your heart center nice and wide. Open up your solar plexus center just below your rib cage, nice and wide. Allowing yourself to feel vulnerable and open. Allowing yourself to let down any barriers. Knowing that this is a safe experience for you. And I want you to imagine going into the root chakras, into the base of your abdomen, into the roots. There's this red vibrating energy there. And this is housing all of your foundation. And just ask your body, is there anything that I need to see in my roots that I need to let go of, that I need to heal? Whether it has to do with the foundation of health or wealth, whether it has to do with my safety, security, or stability, whether it has to do with me being accepted and wanted and loved, nurtured, cared for, whether it has to do with my building trust, whether it has to do with all of my foundational needs seen and heard in a healthy way. Allow your body just to see, just to observe, to get into that quiet space. What do I still need to let go of? And ask yourself the question, do I need to give anything back? And I want you to take whatever it is that you need to possibly give back. And ask your body, can I surrender that with love and honor and respect? Knowing that if I hold on to it, I can't let the people who gave it to me grow. I have to let them grow as much as me. So imagine giving back. Just by feeling the energy in the roots, releasing and surrendering back. If there's any emotion that's attached to it, just allow the emotion to flow out of your body. Surrendering and releasing. And then move your attention up into the sacral energies just below the navel. There's an orange vibrating energy. Allow your energies to move into the sacral. And feel in your being, how do I express myself? How do I show up in this world? Am I not authentic in some of my ways? Am I the same person in every environment I go to? Or do I change because I think it's going to please people? Or because I'm expected to be a certain way? Allow yourself to move into who you are as an authentic soul before you ever came into this body. Allow yourself to receive. Don't think, just receive. Who am I? I want you to take those soul qualities that you love about you, that amazingness, and I want you to imagine feeling it in the core of you, feeling it in your heart, feeling it in your stomach, feeling it in your abdomen, feeling it in your entire core. Can you embrace and love that you? And I want you to imagine releasing this authentic you out into the universe. Imagine radiating that soul outward. As far as you can let it radiate. This is who I am. This is who I want to be. This is the authentic me that I will become or I am. And let that radiate out from your body as big as the room, as big as this town, as big as the universe. Let it radiate as far and wide as you can, opening up your heart and accepting your qualities, whether they brought you trouble, or whether you deny them, or whether they're very much a part of who you are. Radiate them. And as you love them and you accept those qualities, others love them and accept them too. And feel yourself being genuine in all situations, all circumstances, not hiding, not pretending, not trying to be. Now let's just imagine opening up the crown of the head nice and wide, like you're opening a sunroof. And I want you to imagine taking your conscious thoughts and really depositing it in the center of your head, depositing it into your third eye. And let's allow a column of white light about the width of a golf ball to enter into our being right through the crown of our head, entering now down into our third eye, entering down into your throat, entering down into your heart, down into your solar plexus below the ribs, down into your sacral energy below the navel, into the root energy at the tailbone. And allow that energy to flow now down into the earth. And feel yourself as this beautiful soul being having a human experience. You got the opportunity to grow your soul. Allow yourself to feel the balance. Now connect your energy into earth again. feeling gratitude for these experiences, how no matter how hard they are, they're ours. We were excited to come down here. As you anchor into the earth without skipping a beat, allow yourself to open your eyes and appreciate the surroundings and feel your balance. So incidentally, yawning is a great form of clearing. That's what we do. While we yawn at night, we actually clear our energy. So if you're yawning and allowing that, sometimes it's uncontrollable, that's actually a form of clearing. Beautiful. So I want to just end with, we're a minute over, so 2 minutes over. If there are any questions, you're welcome to ask, or you can type them in. Otherwise, you're free to go. Thank you, guys. Beautiful. Knowing next time we're going to get really deep in, and we're going to start to get into some little personal triggers. All right. Thanks, guys. Here. Good night, everybody.